Hello, Year 10s. This time we're going to be talking about the unit circle. You'll have to excuse my terrible voice because I'm still sick. So I'm going to be doing, this is about exercise 6.4, okay, so unit circle stuff. So this is actually a lot simpler than it looks. Basically, if we draw up a Cartesian plane, just a normal graph, if we drew a circle on here, this is the worst circle ever, and this was 1, this was -1, this is -1, and this is 1. So we're just drawing a circle around so that every point hits 1. So it's an even circle, where it would be if I could draw straight. We call this a unit circle, okay? And we're going to talk about how we can find different angles, okay? So we're going to find equivalent angles within a circle. To begin with, let's tell you about the rules. So we've got the first quadrant. We have the second, the third, and the fourth, okay? Now, let's pick a different color for this. So this one here is the first quadrant, and then we just go anti-clockwise. This becomes the second, this becomes the third, and this becomes the fourth, all right? So now we know which quadrant is which. Now we have rules about how to know what's what. All right, so all we're going to do is, let's go back to blue. So let's start with the second quadrant. So in the second quadrant, the rule is, hang on, I've lost my rules. Okay, so it's 180 degrees. This will make a lot more sense when we start doing examples. 180 degrees minus the obtuse angle. Now remember, angle means, obtuse means, I'm on cold and flu medication. Obtuse means bigger than 90 degrees, less than 180 degrees, remember? For the second quadrant, the way we find an equivalent angle is by getting the reflex angle. Remember, a reflex angle is actually more than 180 degrees, but it's not a full circle, so it's less than 360, and we minus 180 degrees from it. And then to find an equivalent angle in the fourth quadrant, all we do is we take 360 degrees and we minus the reflex angle. All right, so it's really not that tricky once you get the hang of it. I promise this will make more sense in a second. Okay, and we've also got to use our trigonometric ratios, so we're still using sine, cos, and tan. Now, different ratios are either positive or negative depending on which quadrant they're in. So let me pick another color again. Let's pick orange this time. So if we're in the first quadrant, all of them are positive. Okay, sine, cos, and tan are all positive in this quadrant. If we're in the second quadrant, only sine is positive, so anything cos or tan will be negative. If we're in the third quadrant, only tangent is positive, so anything sine or cos will be negative. And in the last one, in the fourth quadrant, we have cos is our only positive ratio, okay? So that's what we need to remember. So this one, first, second, third, fourth, all sine, tan, and cos. So let's do a few examples of how we might work out equivalent trigonometric ratios. So let's say that I gave you sine 220 degrees, and I asked you to find an equivalent ratio. First of all, let's figure out what quadrant this is. Okay, so, well, it can't be in this one because this is 0 to 90, isn't it? Remember, there's 90 degrees in every right angle, and obviously these are all right angles. So we go past it, we get to here, we get to 180, we still haven't got to 220, so keep going. We get to here, it's in here, okay? So it's in the third quadrant. So we need the third quadrant rule. So we're going to say the reflex angle, so we've still got sine, don't we? Sine 220, we're going to say, minus 180. So what have we got left? We've got sine 40 degrees. Now, is it positive or negative? We're in the third quadrant. Only tangent is positive in the third quadrant. So this one must be negative. So our equivalent ratio in the unit circle from sine 220 degrees is negative sine 40 degrees. All right, let's do another example. Let's say I gave you cos 110 degrees, and I asked you to find an equivalent ratio. What we're going to do is first figure out which quadrant it's in. This is 0 to 90. It's not in there. It would be in this one here because we haven't got to 180 yet. So we're going to use our second quadrant. So we need our second quadrant rule. So that means we're going to do cos 110 minus, sorry, wrong thing, cos 100. Oh my gosh. What did I tell you about cold and flu medication? Let's try again. All right, we're going to use our second one. So we need to start with 180. 180 minus our angle. Okay, so minus our angle is 110. So we end up with cos 180 minus 110 is 70 degrees. We're in the second quadrant. Only sine is positive here. So this must be negative cos 70 degrees. All right. So that's sort of the normal way that we do that. It's really not that tricky. All you really have to do is figure out which quadrant it is and then figure out which rule to follow. Oh, actually, we didn't do the first one, did we? Let's go back to that. If it's the first quadrant, all you do is 180 degrees minus the angle. Okay, so if I gave you, let's change colours again. So if I gave you, let's say, tan 45 degrees, and I asked you to find the equivalent, well, we take 180, so take 180 and we minus the angle. So we're going to minus 45 from that. So we end up with, we'll take 45 away from that, would be 100, whoa, actually, we forgot to write the tan bit. I'm having a very good day. All right, so tan and 135 degrees is what's left over. If you take away 45, is it positive or negative? We're in the first quadrant. Everything is positive in the first quadrant, so we're fine. The equivalent angle is tan 135 degrees. All right, so it's really not that hard. It's just about figuring out which rule to use, okay? I hope that makes sense. So first, second, third, or fourth quadrant, remember each quadrant has 90 degrees in it. So really, we're going to start from 0, we go to 90, we go to 180, we go to 270, and around to 360, and that's a full circle. So which quadrant are you in? Is it positive or negative? Which rule do you follow? Hopefully that helps you.